Sup?
Hello! No. Hello, and welcome to Tales to Mary, because Maru does not exist, he's no
Ow.
longer here, so I'm taking over the channel, but I hope you're going to enjoy the RPG stories that we're going to do, the horror stories, because there's going to be a lot of weird stuff.
Let's get to the first story for today. AITA for being upset. I'm in a D&D group that I've been part of for a couple of years. We're all friends and I usually have a lot of fun. This campaign we're playing has been mostly fun and kind of lighthearted. There's obvious deaths and things that are on par with D&D, but mostly lighthearted. I decided to have my character flirt with an NPC. They said yes. I continued. Plot stuff happens while in a scene, no ERP, and I express my character no longer wants to do this. DM says I'm under a spell and proceeds to sexually attack my character? What the fuck? What sort of lighthearted session you talking about? Because that anything but lighthearted. The character was a little sus from the start, but I was not expecting that. I also understand there's some campaigns that deal with grimmer subjects, but this was really out of left field. There was also no regard to whether I wanted to be involved in this kind of scene. I got triggered and excused myself. Decided not to tell anyone else about this in order to not spoil everyone's fun. No, you should 100% tell everybody about this. If something's going on in your TTRPG game, you should definitely speak up and not be silent about it. If something makes you uncomfortable, it's always better to say that this makes you uncomfortable instead of saying nothing at all. Because if you say nothing at all, everybody can just assume, oh, you're fine with it. Maybe you and the DM talked ahead of time about it, but they don't know. They won't ever know unless you need to tell them these sort of things, because otherwise they will never know ever what's going on.
Especially if they're like forcing them to do it. Like, I understand like the cute little, like slide in, cute little flirty flirt NPC kind of thing, even if they don't want to romance but just want to be like kind of, they like flirty characters, which is cute. Which is,
that's completely fine. There's no problem with that at all. But like, if the player says like, hey, so I'm gonna stop this now because I don't want it anymore, then the DM just goes, you're under a spell, and proceeds to sexually dominate the player character. That's really fucked. Why is the DM doing that?
It's like, no.
The question is, as stated before, was I in the wrong for getting upset? No. You're not in the wrong for getting upset, and it's perfectly fine to be upset at the DM that is forcing SA onto your character, because that's not okay. That's not what you signed up for. You signed up for having a bit of flirty romance with an NPC character. You didn't sign up to get your bones rattled because you decided to cut it off, and the player says, or the DM says, you're under a spell, so you now have to be a victim of this. You don't have to be part of this. You told the DM that you're not okay with it, you want to cut it off, and that should have been final. But no, the DM decides to continue further and have a character basically be SA'd. That's fucked up. That is genuinely fucked up. I forgot to clarify some things because I had just woken up from a nightmare. First off, none of the other players knew what was happening because the SA happened through DMs. Second, I feel like I'm the a-hole because I didn't stop it right away. As things kept happening, I just went, no longer interested. Spell thing justification. Tried to like brush it off and keep it light, but I did specify, hey, this is that. DM made a poor taste joke. At that point, I just kept going with curt answers. In DM's defense, I didn't tell him to stop right away, only expressed my discomfort. In my defense, I did express my discomfort. Thanks everyone for your support. It made me feel a lot less confused, a lot more confident in my decision. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to answer and help me out with so much compassion. Let's love your way. If you're not okay with what's going on, you need to let the DM know and the players know and everybody at the table know that, yeah, you're not okay with what's going on. Second, when it comes to this sort of scenario out of nowhere where the DM just suddenly springs up SA on your character and the idea of rape, yeah, it's going to be very uncomfortable. And some people, they have this thing where they freeze up. I forgot what it's called, but basically sometimes when you have uncomfortable, strange, or really odd situation happen, where it kind of puts you under the spotlight, some people, they just lock up and freeze up and they just don't know what to do. It's like, I think it's like something paralysis. It's some this term for it. And suddenly the character's being SA'd straight up by DM when everything else up to this point was lighthearted. You shouldn't feel bad about this. The DM is fucked up for this. The DM is completely in wrong. You're not in wrong. You're not the a-hole here. The DM is entirely 100%. It's on the DM. Gaslighting. Also a lot of railroading, but mostly gaslighting. I've played with the same core of people for over a decade. This crew were never my only RPG circle, but often the most important. And at one time, we were friends. We invited each other to our weddings. That sounds so sad. That opening sentence sounds genuinely so sad. At one time, we were friends. Oh my god, what has happened to you and your group? I'm genuinely kind of worried to read this. A few years ago, a new GM, let's call her Charlie, entered our group after moving in with one of the players. Charlie can be charming. Charlie can be helpful. Charlie is even conventionally attractive. Charlie also successfully tried to break up the group to isolate her roommate and gaslight her into isolation and alienation from her oldest friends and fellow players. Wow. Okay. We've been set up for quite a story. We had moved to online gaming due to COVID stuff, so roommate and Charlie were a lot closer than the rest of the team when this was almost a ritual. A coda for every game session. And yes, it's annoying but mostly idle gossip. In the last 2 years, Charlie literally made her roommate, a good friend but always struggling with mental health issues, more and more depending on her in a social, mental, and economic sense. Oh, I recently read one about a woman basically trapping a 24-year-old kid basically in a sort of relationship, and it's fucked. Jesus. I'm cursing a lot more in these sessions. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm just allowing myself to express myself more and more. I know I'm gonna have to go back and censor all this, but fuck it at this point. I'm already on a roll. Fuckity fuck. It's gonna be fun to edit.
You're gonna hate yourself.
I'm gonna hate myself. The editing me is gonna hate myself, but you know what? I'm just enjoying it for now.
Hi, editing Morrow.
Hi, editing Morrow. Fuck you. Haha. Charlie had also been a bit intrusive and opinionated, but not necessarily particularly clever. She's the kind of person who judged people for preferring the wrong actor playing Doctor Who, that sort of thing. She was also a great critic of the wrong kind of RPGs, which included a relatively random collection of games, not necessarily any specific games. She loves 5e, for instance, but passionately hates Pathfinder. Charlie also wasn't particularly good at running a game. Everything from the setting to the interpretation of the rules to the interaction with NPCs was coated in sarcastic, distancing, and aloofness that made any genuine emotion hollow. There were only two types of NPCs: incompetent buffoons or super smug geniuses. Because this game became a sightseeing trip of her story, everything you wanted to do was hidden behind a skilled roll wall with so many rolls that you would fail eventually, and back to railroad it goes. Characters were never allowed to be actually competent, and there were literally no achievement that wouldn't be diminished with the constant sarcasm. At the same time, there was never any tension or threat in any confrontation or conflict. It was so obvious that she cheated literally every time she rolled the dice, and that literally nothing truly bad could happen to the characters, because that wasn't in the script, I suppose. The game was rather boring as a result. Oh yeah, and her roommate, and the original player who invited her in, got as much focus as the other players combined. Oh, I see what's going on. Gotcha. So they're basically playing it up like everything is an evil playing field, nothing's really going on. But the one player, that the roommate, the ones depending on them, they're the ones that are going to be getting all this stuff. They're the favorite player, the bestest player ever. Man, this sounds like a really boring game and also a setup for some really traumatic stuff to happen. But let's keep going. Totally nothing bad could happen, right, Mary?
Yeah.
So we had a few arguments about the game and about ending one campaign, about scheduling. Once upon a time we had two campaigns running simultaneously with two different GMs, but Charlie insisted that her campaign absolutely had to be the top priority, so she effectively sabotaged campaign number 2 scheduling and withdrew herself and roommate from it. However, the result was always pretty much the same: tears, emotional manipulation, and an outcry about somebody being so impolite to disturb the nice and quiet, usually me. The tone policing was intense. Soft, benign criticism were always ignored. And when someone, again usually me, dared to formulate a criticism a bit more harshly, then the tone of the critique became irrelevant, so Charlie wouldn't have to deal with the contents. Then she started to cry and have roommate come to her defense. You ended in 2 against 1 situation. These are the kind of people that find a way to manipulate somebody, and they'll go specifically, right? It's a specific type of person, specific type of conniving bastard, right? That goes specifically for people that will not speak up. or will not try to defend themselves. If somebody goes against the grain or against the manipulators like tactics, they'll find another way to get people on her side by playing like either a victim or playing as the vulnerable party here, or before the tone is not a problem. Doesn't matter. She is on top. Charlie can do whatever she wants. As soon as somebody speaks up and says, yeah, I don't like that, I don't actually want that sort of thing, I don't agree with this decision, suddenly though, with tone becomes a problem, because it's not about the argument or addressing the argument. It's now becomes about the tone. It's about deflecting. It's about finding ways to work around and snake your way into people's hearts, or I guess whatever the kind of manipulation tactics that I've seen left, right, and center. I mean, we've probably seen it before, honestly, within like the general social circles I've been around. We know people like that. They specifically want to manipulate the ones that can be manipulated, but as soon as you speak up, suddenly it becomes a whole other problem. Suddenly you're the problem to everybody else, and they'll try to convince you as hard as they can for that. It is literally the worst, and I hate this kind of people. Charlie's intrusive tendencies got worse when roommate's mother died 2 years ago. Basically, she took over managing the financial stuff. Bills, taxes, rent, you name it. Her roommate, and also managed more and more of her social life. Damn, that's a really difficult situation to be in. Because I mean, like, a roommate, right, is now in this very vulnerable position for Charlie to come in and strike, and Charlie's the only one there, and already got the roommate's trust, and now roommates basically open them up for being further manipulated, because now their finances could probably be used against them to, like, it's like a leash, right? So when you put somebody on a leash and you just tighten the leash more and more, there's just another avenue to tighten the leash further. That's a really bad spot. That's a really, really bad spot. She's just going for the kill. She's going for the locking in the power control and power fantasy to completely dominate the roommate, and that's scary. That's honestly terrifying. It became impossible to do anything with my friend without Charlie also getting involved. For example, I wanted to meet roommate for a movie night. Charlie invited herself and then decided the movie me and my wife had picked was too boring or scary. Wanted to watch Lighthouse. Insisted we should watch her movie pick instead. And when I refused, she basically talked my friend out of the idea and stay at home. And that's what they did. This became a frequent and then a constant thing. The two became extremely unreliable when it came to any event outside of the RPG group, especially those roommate used to like. I eventually stopped asking. I left the group earlier this year when I realized I can literally not change the dynamic between these two. The game sucked and the camaraderie had died. This was just a case of bad gaming. It was, but it wasn't the main issue. I think Charlie is literally a highly manipulative person. I utterly failed to convey this to roommate, and if I tried it, it would probably backfire spectacularly. At least I can vent and be sad. That is genuinely sad. I am so sorry, OP. Though I feel like I mean, that's what these stories are for. People come to RPG horror stories to vent and sometimes express their frustrations or sadness or anything in order to feel better about themselves, and it's completely fine. I feel like you should try at least once, find all the ways that Charlie has manipulated the roommate, or maybe speak to somebody that's close to roommate. They're basically in a position where they're being manipulated and being treated almost like I don't know how you describe it, like a pet, I guess. I don't know. They've been manipulated into this situation where they're basically under someone's thumb, and it's not going to be mentally healthy for them, because they're only going to spiral roommates' mental health down until probably something bad will happen. Maybe contact the other players, tell them like, hey, listen, this is a problem, guys. We maybe should contact the roommate and tell them that what Charlie's doing is wrong. Maybe contact the family. If you genuinely care for the person, like, you don't have to. I'm not saying you should. But if you genuinely care for that player, if you genuinely care for roommate, you probably should try something, anything, doing something, and maybe contacting like family members and stuff, saying like, hey, I think they're in a bad situation because of this, that, and this, and maybe, let them know what's going on. Unless you don't know family members, I don't know. It's a difficult situation, because like, it's one of those damned if I do, damned if I don't situations. You can either just leave it alone and nothing will happen, or you can try to let roommate know exactly what's going on, but it could make things worse. I don't know. I don't think you have much to lose in this sort of situation. If it's gonna go bad, then it's already as bad as it is. Then just, let it be, I guess. I don't know. What do you think?
In that kind of situation, you're blind to everything around you, like, because you think, oh, they're my friend, like, they would never do something like that. So you basically, like, see them as like a golden star, while everyone else sees like they see the bad side, while only you see the good side because they only show you their good side. Maybe there's like multiple reasons why they were like that and why they did it and stuff like that, but you could tell like they wanted to keep them, like their friend, to themselves and like wanted to make them theirs rather than having other people to go to. They wanted to be the only one they get to talk to. But I feel bad because then like if eventually they do see what they're really like, all of their friends have already gone because they've already kicked them away, so
Yeah.
they're gonna have no one to like talk to.
And that's
which
the problem.
sucks.
Charlie taking away roommates' independence, and therefore roommate doesn't feel like they can go to anybody at this point because they're stuck in the situation. Because Charlie's not gonna let the grip go for sure, unless something drastic happens and Charlie loses interest. But then if Charlie loses interest, then roommate's gonna be by themselves, unable to. Maybe they will be able to recover. I don't know. I'm hoping for the best for roommate, honestly. Hope for the best for roommate, and I hope Charlie fucks off somewhere. I don't know. And that'll be all our stories for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the stories. I hope you enjoyed Mary's company. We'll be seeing y'all in future videos from then on. Feel free to leave feedback in the comment section below, like, whatever. And if you'd like to see more, consider hitting subscribe.
Bye.